Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because, wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. Nothing mattered except for Pokémon.
What fresh hell?
Laughing in the face of motherhood.
Oh my God, he's talking about Spider-Man again.
With Margaret Abels
and Amy Wilson.
I want to sit at the cool kids table, and my kids are the cool kids.
A podcast that solves today's parenting dilemmas
so you don't have to.
It's okay, your yard sign is there and you're going to make it until morning.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Margaret.
And this is Amy. Today, we're going to talk about why kids get obsessed with the randomest stuff and why that's actually a good thing.
We were talking on a recent episode about my cousin's son who had to have Mr. Potato Head's right arm at all times. So
yes,
me of this. Yeah,
yes.
Kids and obsessions.
Mr. Potato Head's, I have a younger brother. Sorry, Mike, I'm going to tell this story. His thing when he was little was a catalog of religious articles, like little, rosaries and pins that have St. Joseph on them or whatever. He would, in his crib, pore over this catalog of religious articles and murmur to himself about his favorites.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Let's do mailbag.
All right.
I can top it.
We got a good mailbag.
Oh, yes. Wait a minute. Time for mailbag. Wait. Check the mailbag. Amy and Margaret, look and see.
This week's mailbag is from Mikey on Facebook. She says, it was Margaret's description of elf sex that got me to read A Court of Thorns and Roses. It got me back into reading, and I feel more like my old self, the one before kids, the one who loved to read. I listen to this podcast because it feels like being with thoughtful, funny friends who care about their kids and want mine to thrive too. I've taken so many gems from your stories and research. Most of all, you make me laugh. Thank you.
Amazing books.
It's fairies, right? It's not elves, it's fairies?
It's not elves. It turns out it's fairies.
We know that. We already know that.
And then I got into the Dragon Riders next, which is Iron Flame or something like that. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. There's the elf sex and then there's the Dragon Rider sex. And I've really lost to reading. Right now I'm in one of those seasons where I don't know, having trouble reading. But right now I'm reading Heartwood. It's about a woman who gets lost on the Appalachian Trail. You would like it. Heartwood.
Okay.
I think it's called. Google Woman Who Gets Lost on the Appalachian Trail book. It's an easy read. I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's deep, but easy.
It occurs to me that what we're trying to recapture is exactly this sort of childlike feeling of I can think about, talk about, be immersed in Pokémon 6 hours a day. And the more I do it, the more I like it. Like we're kind of trying to recapture a little bit of that excitement.
Yeah, there's something about... So one of my children was obsessed with the idea of hoarding all the toys. I think he was the second child and was worried somehow that things were not his own. And he would carry around piles of toys all the time. Like he didn't want to put them down lest brother, my guess is touched them.
Probably, yeah.
But it became so over the top that his bed, he was in the top bunk, was filled with toys. Like how he could get in there and sleep, I don't know. And you may be asking yourself, like, why weren't you doing anything about this? But I was pregnant with my third, had 2 kids under 3. I had bigger problems. But he would, when we went to Nana's house, he would have a tray, like a wooden tray for serving drinks. And it was full of Folgers, empty Folgers plastic coffee cans. And inside that, filled with little toys. And he would carry around this serving tray. Like, he was hoarding all the toys all the time. And at one point I went up and looked at his bed, and he had somehow gotten a yard sign for a state senate election. And it was in his bed, a yard sign.
Yeah.
2 stakes. I can't remember. I should have written down the guy's name because it was like Murphy for Senate or something. The guy didn't win, maybe because there was a 2-year-old stealing his yard signs.
Yeah.
But this went on for years, this absolutely insane hoarding of toys. And it was fascinating and adorable.
I believe that psychologist D.W. Winnicott would have called those items comfort objects. This kid had a lot of comfort objects.
It's funny because this is a kid who never had both my other kids had a nameable object, Blanky and Blue Bear. They went everywhere with them. But this middle kid was more about volume.
Yeah, options. He wanted options. I had 2 kids.
Wanted all of the things in his control and possession at all times.
I also had 2 kids with blankies. That was their transitional objects. Those are also called. And then my middle kid, same thing. It wasn't volume, but he needed like a Hot Wheels car, truck, bus in each fist at all times, like when we were going somewhere, including during the Christmas card photo shoot. And eventually we were like, whatever, he can hold cars. This is who he is. He holds cars in his fists all the time. So
yes,
double fisting Hot Wheels until kindergarten. And then, that's it. So anyway, that's the first kind of obsession that we see most of our kids have is transitional objects, a blanket, stuffed animal, piece of fabric. And this psychologist, D.W. Winnicott, said these were transitional objects because they bridge a child's inner emotional world and the external world. They provide continuity of experience when your caregiver drops you off at preschool or when you're in bed at night and your caregiver isn't there. It's okay, your yard sign is there and you're going to make it until morning.
Yeah, the yard sign was definitely a little bit later, I'm remembering. There's something about the lovey, the stuffy, the comfort object that involves smell because we tried pretty quickly to get duplicates and they were always rejected. It didn't have the stink on it.
You have to rotate them. Yeah, we had multiples, but you had to constantly be moving them through so you had an option.
And I noticed with one of my kids, whenever the object came by, sometimes they would just take a hit off of the smell.
Just to huff it,
and then move on with their day. But it was like, that smell is still there. It's like there's something that goes really biologically deep about this that's adorable and charming.
So that's like a, 2 to 4 or 5 kind of thing, transitional object. And then they move into, not all kids, but very many kids develop an intense interest. Sometimes it's called an extremely intense interest. About 30 to 40% of kids between the ages of 2 and 6 have at least one intense interest that lasts months or years. And I bet this rings a bell to you too.
For sure. And kids on the spectrum even more so, right?
Well, yes. So the extremely intense interest, you're right. In the case of autism spectrum disorder, it's more often called restricted and repetitive behaviors, RRBs, that they're observed.
The RRBs.
The old RRBs. But the point is that these behaviors are also very much observed in neurotypical children. It is maybe the degree of depth and focus that is an autism spectrum, like how intense, how insistent, persistent, consistent it is, might be more true for a kid on the spectrum than a kid not on the spectrum. But lots and lots of kids have this very typical developmental stage of an extremely intense interest.
I'm surprised almost it's only 30 to 40% because I feel like when I'm trying to meet other people's kids, I'm like, what are they into? Because kids, you can almost always answer that question,
Right. And it's always so funny. So there was a study at the University of Virginia that looked at why this happens and what the interest. And there's a bunch of things that are interesting, but my favorite one was that per this study, parents and caregivers were generally like, we have no idea why he likes plastic spoons and carries them everywhere he goes. That it just happens. And that's why that's such a fun question to ask. I ask people that question too. What's his thing? What's her thing? Because there always is something.
Yeah.
And it's like soy sauce packets. I don't know. I don't know why. It's just so funny that they love what they love.
We have a picture from my 4-year-old's birthday party, and the theme of the party was princesses and pachycephalosauruses. That was 2 reigning interests of the day. And it's this group of 7 little girls, all 4 years old, all in the kind of over-the-top, ridiculous tulle princess dresses and like dinosaur hard hats and some sort of hammer that they were going to use to, uncover whatever fossil game we had invented.
They're anthropologists?
Princesses and pachycephalosauruses. No, they're paleontologists.
They're paleontologists.
How dare
right,
you?
Right. Sorry. So this University of Virginia, here is how they define an extremely intense interest based on the kids between 2 and 6 that they studied.
Okay.
Not every kid had an intense interest. Only about 30 to 40% have. So some parents might be like, yeah, I don't know, like they just like toys. But of the ones who did, 88% were male.
I was going to say that earlier, that I think this is more boys than girls. I feel like boys especially are I can name every single dinosaur. I can tell you every player who's ever played for the Mets.
Right. And you know who's written about that? Simon Baron-Cohen, who is the guy who plays Borat. It's his brother.
Is it his brother? I think it's his uncle.
No, it's his brother. Yeah. Yeah.
I know that he's a child development guy.
Yeah. So he argues that males are systemizers who like to focus narrowly on analyzing, exploring, and understanding systems. Like little boys love a system, and that girls wouldn't. Now, he might say something different. This is 30-year-old research, but yes, that's what's happening there. But let's go back to the extremely intense interest. Okay, so it's more often boys than girls. Yes, that's borne out in the numbers. They can be relatively long-lasting.
Okay.
Shown in several different contexts. I mean, I know somebody who's really into squishy toys. And yes, that love for squishy toys shows up in many different contexts because the squishy toys come with them everywhere that they go.
But what does many different contexts mean?
Home, if you at home, you're talking about dinosaurs. You go to your friend's house, do you have any dinosaurs I can play with?
Got it. And in preschool, you're like, I'm in the dinosaur carnival.
Right.
It's dinosaurs for me, guys.
Yeah. Independently noticed by people outside the immediate family.
Yes.
And again, like I said, parents and caregivers, this was actually like a feature of the extremely intense interest, is that it was completely independently developed. You could be a paleontologist and your kid is going to like toothbrushes. There's something about it that they think is actually about expressing your independence. This is my thing.
I think there's 2 different things. I think one of them is like comfort item category.
Yeah, that's
but
first.
There's a different category that is like baseball statistics, Pokemon cards, dinosaurs, where there's a tremendous amount of factoids to be memorized. There's a difference between like holding Mr. Potato Head's right hand in your hand, and one of my kids was the kid who's like, that's the encephalopediosaurus. And he has 3 toes. There seems to be a divide between comfort object and this vast memorization that seems to be part of the Mets, dinosaurs, Pokemon world.
I think it's actually 3 things, and they just usually happen in an order. The first, there's a transitional object, the thing they drag everywhere. Then there is the extremely intense interest. I only want to look at trucks, play with trucks, talk about trucks, point at trucks. And then once they get a little bit older, I mean, dinosaurs, there are 4-year-olds who know a lot about dinosaurs, but it's like the 6 to 10, 11, 12-year-olds who know every pitcher for the Yankees ever and every dinosaur ever.
Right.
Which Pokemon, and believe me, I have some very big boys who love to talk about which Pokemon evolves to that Pokemon with their younger cousins. It's fascinating. They want the systems.
We still talk about to this day, and these kids are grown adults and professionals in the world now, but back in the day, a Christmas morning where my brother was the only one with kids, we were all gathered there, came down in the morning to brand new bicycles that Grandma and Grandpa had provided. The only exciting item under the tree was Pokemon cards. That like nothing mattered except for Pokemon. There's something, I mean, they're designed very specifically for a reason to light up whatever part of the brain it is that little boys, maybe mostly little kids, want the experience of. Like Charmander has 3 power and 96 vulnerable. People who do Pokemon are dying right now because this is nothing to do with
that's
Pokemon.
not what happens.
That's so not what Pokemon's about. But yeah.
So developmentally, the intense interest, the Pokemon and stuff, that's practice in mastery and persistence that developmentally they're doing that. They like knowing a lot about Pokemon. They love knowing more about Pokemon than mom does because mom doesn't know anything about Charmander. My son used to try to get me to name 3 Pokemon. Mom named 3 Pokemon. So I'd always be like, oh, Sidewinder. And I'd just make up words, Dustbuster.
As he just died inside.
Yeah, that's not it. But it's all good. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's going on psychologically and why this is almost always totally fine and what happens when maybe it's a little bit too much.
Love it.
Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand. And it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING.
You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about, like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
So a study that was published in 2007 found that these obsessions do sort of have an end date. Usually, I mean, at least maybe like in neurotypical kids, that there's like a middle school cutoff for this. And they came up with a couple of reasons why they think that's happening. They think that once kids are in school and they actually have an hour of homework a night, they have less time to be staring at Pokemon cards, right? Once kids are in school, they're getting feedback about why you're still talking about dinosaurs. That's not interesting.
That's not cool, man.
That's not cool, right?
Either way, it's totally cool.
And then you start, of course, once you're in like 6th or 7th grade, then you start thinking about your body, your identity, who do you like, who likes you, and that all kind of, speaking of obsessions, really
takes the place of dinosaur facts.
Kind of takes over. I couldn't find much about this, but I thought this was really interesting, like the celebrity obsessions, the boy band thing.
Yes.
Or like I was really into having posters of Boy George on my wall for a little while, and the Police. You were really into Madonna.
Yes.
And I think that must be another version of this, that maybe girls do more than boys, that I'm going to have this very safe crush. I'm never going to meet Boy George.
And if you do, no harm, no foul.
He didn't like women. I didn't understand that. Right. I wanted to look like him, be him, sing like him. And he was just a very safe person for me to be obsessed with and imagine what it would be like if we could meet someday, because we actually were never were going to meet someday.
Right. That was the most important part. that
Right.
You would never, it's basically every book that's like, it's a vampire, but he can't even kiss you. He just has to express how much he loves you.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's right. And like Taylor Swift and knowing all the lyrics, I clearly remember, and I was saying it at my own dinner table, my mother would say, we're not talking about movie stars or celebrities. It would drive her crazy that my sister and I would sit there and be like, did you see that Madonna and Sean Penn are breaking up? And my mom didn't know any of these people, and she found it extremely annoying. I am now dealing with it, and I'm finding myself having the same conversation with my own kids about TikTok references and memes, and, you know, they're sitting around the table and being like, rah, 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 just speaking a language that is just, they're basically reciting memes to each other that I don't understand. And I do find myself saying, we're not doing that at the dinner table. I cannot listen to you say 6'7" one more time. I'm going, my head's going to explode. And I guess part of it is the thing of we're speaking our own language that the adults don't understand, and that makes it exciting. And God forbid one tries to weigh in with any understanding about this stuff.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
It's torture. It's your kids, the Pokemon names.
So there are some benefits, like psychological benefits, brain benefits to having an extremely intense interest. There's a 2008 study that showed that sustained intense interests like dinosaurs can help children develop increased knowledge, a better attention span, and ability to process information better. Like certainly if your kid loves dinosaurs, they're going to be reading books that are at or beyond their grade level because they want to. It's a really great way for them to grow. And then a bunch of studies have also found that older children with intense interests tend to be of above average intelligence.
Interesting. All right. What about kids who hoard yard signs in their bed? Any studies on that? How does that turn out, Amy? I need to know for a friend.
I don't think it is that your extremely intense interest has made you more intelligent. I think it is probably that because you are extremely intelligent, young man or young woman, you are more likely to know every major highway in the United States. You're more likely to have a brain that wants to go deep on something.
Yeah, and I think that it just is a sign of curiosity that is very useful, right? We often talk about self-esteem and this mysterious box of self-esteem that's hidden in the woods somewhere. It's look at what I can learn about this thing. I am the person who knows everything about dinosaurs. Mom doesn't know anything about dinosaurs. I do. Like, it seems to me a really good source of, I had an interest. I went to the library. I took out a bunch of books about it. And now I know all of these things. I teach public speaking, and we do a game called Expert Speaker. And the idea is you just improv and nonsense your way through being the expert on like growing flowers on Mars, something absurd. But the purpose of the game is, what does it feel like to speak as an expert when like it's all phony, but it gives you the opportunity to inhabit the brain and mind and speech of an expert. And what does that give you? And people talk a lot about the different things it gives them in the practice of being in that role. And I think for kids, that's similarly important.
You know, there's also the social thing. We haven't really talked about this, but it can be pretty cool when you're in 6th grade and you know more about Pokemon than the other kids at the lunch table.
Yes.
Your mileage may vary, right? Like then you go visit your cousin who lives half an hour away and she doesn't know anything about Pokemon or care. But I've definitely seen my kids get street cred from knowing the most about Magic the Gathering or whatever was happening.
Right, right. It can go both ways. It can also go the way of, why are you such a weirdo?
Yeah.
Cares about something that's deeply unimportant.
Right.
Oh, that's the kid who always talks about Pokemon and it's boring and we're over it.
So let's talk about when kids might need some support around extreme and intense interests.
Sure.
They're always great things, but times that they might need some support, because that's certainly one of them, that they might have circumscribed interests. It's what it's called. Which moves beyond. It's not just that trains are the most interesting thing for you to think about. It's that nothing else even comes close.
Basically, if we're not naming every train in the Thomas universe, why are we even having a conversation?
Why are we talking? Right. And this happens sometimes for kids on the spectrum. As they get older, they had this circumscribed interest, and it's really hard to move off it, to talk about other things, and need some help sometimes to like, okay, now we're going to listen to this person talk about what they like. It's like, okay, fine, but what's interesting is Thomas the Tank Engine, right?
When are we going to get back to Mordor or whatever it's called?
Right.
Where did he live? Mordor is Lord of the Rings, but they live on some island. Sodor. There you go.
Sodor and Mordor. Yeah.
A little too close.
So, I mean, any kid could deal with that, and some kids more than others. They need help. Like, okay, not everybody wants to talk about that all the time, and it's starting to affect your social life at school.
Yeah. This is something that I think a lot about, having a kid on the spectrum. We've definitely done a lot of work around, and now it's time to listen to the other person's interests. And sometimes I can literally see the blank eyes of, I'm nodding, and soon we will get back to talking about what I'm interested in. And I'm just fascinated by the question of, should you just find lots of people who really love Thomas the Tank Engine and talk about it all day? Or I guess it is a useful skill. And, we've had this debate about, like, are we bringing the world to our kids or the kids to the world?
That's a good question.
You can mask your intense interest for people, which may be a useful skill, but also sometimes leaning in to that intense interest, the good and the bad thing about the internet, that you can now, it used to be like if you were the one kid in the world who was interested in the Zack Snyder cut of the DC movie, nobody wanted to talk to you about that. Now there's worlds of people who will talk about the Zack Snyder cut. Should you just go out and find the Zack Snyder people with things like train collectors or Comic-Con? There are worlds of people who were like, we're going to spend 800 hours making a Tron costume and we're going to show up in it with all these other fun people at the Javits Center and have a big party.
So here's the question that I think that one asks that, as you say, makes it both like, it isn't about stopping loving the thing you love. If you're looking at your kid and you're thinking, are we going too far with the Pokemon all the time? The question is, are they finding joy through this interest? Are they finding connection through this interest? Or are they more finding stress and isolation?
It's a great question. I've talked a lot about having OCD, and that it tends to be a temperature taker on my anxiety. The symptoms come up when I feel more anxious. And I think sometimes the intense interest has a little bit of that same quality, which is it's an outlet for something that is maybe not joy-based. It's a safe place, but maybe it's not actually rewarding you in ways that are totally healthy and good. Does that make sense?
Yes. And it doesn't have to be one or the other, right? It can switch from day to day. That's a spectrum for it to exist on. Is this more of a joy and connection or more of a stress and isolation? And you can just look at how it's leaning. But it is, these extremely intense interests sometimes are very useful. They're a coping strategy during a stressful time. It can be actually a self-soothing strategy.
Yes.
Things are not going well, but I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to think about the Pokemon on the school bus and I'm going to be okay because I have mastery of this domain. They can be a source of a lot of comfort. So I don't think that it's ever about like, oh, you're too old to be talking about these things anymore. That's boring. Who cares about that? I don't think it's that ever. I think it's about maybe helping kids build bridges from it.
Yeah. And I think it's complicated. I mean, I think that I've been in enough elementary school costume parades that you do start to see like, oh, there's kids who are still dressing as Toy Story while the other kids are all dressed as K-pop demon hunters, right? They're like not caught up to the other kids. And that can be something that needs intervention, or it can be something that does not need intervention. Yeah. And I think that it can be hard to know which one it is, because if your kid is a sixth grader who loves Toy Story, they are going to get pushback from other kids that's babyish. And we've moved on from that. We're not doing that anymore. Our collective social message is conform. We're about K-pop demon hunters now. But I think it's supporting your kid in whatever choice they want to make.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, let's talk about how we can help them expand their interests maybe a little bit, just a little. My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com.
All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that, taking them to swim lessons. I mean, the pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy, heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code FREE.
And now, the people you will meet at your kids' school play.
From the What Fresh Hell podcast.
The Mama Rose.
She's been to every rehearsal. She's standing on the side. She's mouthing all the words. She might be praying that the lead breaks her ankle so her kid gets a shot.
The PR manager.
Her kid is a solo, and you're going to see it on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, and YouTube. If you run into her in the school parking lot, you're going to watch it again.
The crew dad.
He's busted out his steel-toe boots, and he's not here to mess around. Now let's grab a 2x4 and start making this doorway, folks. No one is hammering a thumb on his watch.
The, oh my God, was that today parent?
Arrives just before intermission. Can't find their ticket.
The paparazzi.
There's like 100 of them. They don't watch the show, they tape the show on gigantic iPads from like 2012. They sit up front so that you can watch your kids' show on their iPad screens.
This has been the people you will meet at your kids' school play.
From the What Fresh Hell podcast.
All right, let's expand some interests, Amy.
You know, I'm thinking about getting involved. There's definitely things that I have chosen to learn a lot about, like the players on Manchester United, things like that.
Wait, you do that?
I mean, kind of, yeah. And
then boys are into it.
Yeah, and then they weren't anymore. Good news is like, right. Okay, now it's Manchester United, and we have to get new posters for the wall, and then like 18 months later, we're not talking about that anymore.
You said the funniest thing you've ever said on the podcast, I think, when you were talking about learning NBA players' name, like a desperate girlfriend trying to by your sons, being like, oh, I think that Kyle Irving is a great player.
I'm still at that. The NBA players are an extremely intense interest in our house, so I'm still doing that. But right, I think kids like that, and then I think kids also like that only they know what Labubus are, and we don't really know, and Mom is dumb. Like, I think that's sort of part of liking things.
I think it's very crucial, and this is something I struggle with because I self-identify as cool mom. Like, I'm with it, and it really bothers me that my kids think I'm lame. And so I often find myself shouting, I'm extremely cool at my kids, and they disagree, as it turns out. But I do think that it's so developmentally appropriate for kids to have interests they don't share with you. It's worth acknowledging that that can be funny and ridiculous, but also maybe a little bit painful. Oh, I am actually being pushed out of this world by them talking about memes at the dinner table that I don't understand. And if it's annoying, and I want to teach the lesson tonight of we don't talk about things at a dining table that 3 of the people at the table don't understand, that might be valid. But it's also worth examining how much of this is being like, I want to sit at the cool kids table and my kids are the cool kids.
Right. Or your feelings that like, I don't know something that they know everything about.
Yeah. And I think that often kids choose things. What do you say? In siblings, it's like defining an opposition. That kids do that too, right? Like, I'm going to choose a thing that specifically excludes my parents. And they're not really making that choice, but they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah. I have a couple of suggestions if you have a kid who's really, focused on one thing and you need to maybe help them expand a little bit. One of the suggestions is to invite expansion through the obsession. Like if it's sharks all the time, I know you have a loved one who really loves to talk about sharks all the time.
I do.
If you want to encourage her to expand that interest, you might say to her, do you want to sit down and write a story about sharks? Do you want to paint sharks? Do you want to make a shark cake? Whatever, that you take the obsession and you branch it out.
It's like food chaining. If you like tortillas, maybe I can get you on dumplings.
Right.
Like with bread, with meat in the middle. It's like socially chaining. For kids on the spectrum, this is super worthwhile. Go meet the kid in their world to bring them into your world is a model that I have seen work really, really well. Like I am totally fine with talking to you all day about Astrobot, which is a cartoon for the youngs now, because we're talking, and talking is what we're trying to do.
Yes.
And connecting is what we're trying to do. And so if I spend all my connection time being like, stop talking about Astrobot, that's not interesting to me, I may be missing an opportunity for connection.
Right. The other suggestion is to model flexibility, that you can kind of show that interests can grow and change, and talk about what you used to like when you were little. Just last night, I was talking to my high school daughter about how I got ready for school in the morning in high school and the things I needed to do and what I wore. And she doesn't want to hear much about what I have to say about a lot of things these days. But boy, she was very interested in and so what did you wear? And so what kind of outfits did you have? And I don't think I owned a pair of jeans. And that, of course, just blew her mind. And so talking about how you used to love to look at a catalog of religious articles when you were little.
Such a good one. You had a state senator sign in your bed.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think this can be hard when you find the obsession very foreign or threatening to some degree. I don't want to have the kid who only talks about Labubus all day. It doesn't mean that you have to join an obsession that you think may be a little bit unhealthy. But if you think about prioritizing connection, I think that can guide you in the right direction.
I know a kid who is really very obsessed with Spider-Man. That's his extremely intense interest. And I was watching him have a conversation with his grandmother where he was talking about the different stars of the different Spider-Man movies and the different directors and who's the best Spider-Man. And she said, no, you think that? Because I remember the last time we talked about it, you told me that you thought this director was the best director. And I just was blown away because this is a woman who probably wouldn't care about these things very much. But in order to connect with this kid, she was really listening and she really engaged with him. And she really was having a two-way conversation with him about who was the best director of which Spider-Man movie, instead of just saying, now come sit down. Instead of just redirecting and blah, 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 she was listening.
Well, not doing the thing that we're talking about the kid with the obsession doing, which is just nodding and waiting for your turn to talk about something interesting.
Yes.
Similarly, one of my kids was super into Marvel movies, watched all the Marvel movies, knows all the characters. And my dad, who's never watched a Marvel movie and probably hasn't watched a popular movie in the last 20 years, they would have a sleepover once a month where they would watch a Marvel movie, get pizza and milkshakes. And this kid would explain every aspect of the Marvel universe, because to know Ant-Man and Spider-Girl, you need to know that Dr. Doom went to the second dimension and that's where he met. And I think it's important to really meet people where they are, and that you can't actually be doing the thing of listen, was my dad super into Dr. Doom in the second dimension? No, but just being able to say, my priority is us spending time together, and this is how that is facilitated, is a gift.
Yeah. And I guess in your house, it doesn't have to be 24/7, but you can have that movie night that's all about Spider-Man, especially if the kid is starting to get less of that at school, maybe.
For sure.
That at home, we can really focus on this on Friday nights.
I think there is also the flip side, that watch for exit ramps. Because something that Allie Bosch, she wrote Hyperbole and other something.
Hyperbole and a half, this cartoonist. But she talks about as a little kid tasting hot sauce and being like, I love it, kind of as a bit, almost as a 4-year-old. And then for the rest of her life, people were gifting her hot sauces and pajama pants with chilies on them and stuff. Watch it becoming the thing where it's people being like, oh, that's your picky eater. He won't want that. Don't worry about it. Make sure that you're not telling a story that has left the building, which is, my sister is so into sharks. It's all she cares about, that rather than get her a nice sweater for Christmas, I'm going to buy her a robot shark that swims around her bathtub. It's is the story
the real story.
It occurs to me too. So having an extremely intense interest is not only normal and developmentally appropriate, it builds confidence, and it could either make your kid smarter or is a sign that your kid is already pretty smart. So it's pretty good if they have one. But I'm thinking about a little boy who is really into Stephen Sondheim and can tell you at 11 who was his favorite gypsy. Was it Ethel Merman or,
Audra.
Yeah, right. Audra versus Ethel. And you're like, oh, this kid is going to suffer. We got to help this kid broaden their interests and get them to play Little League.
Right.
And I think that's where we have to watch our story, that they're extremely intense interests, that we can get our own reactions to it, I think can get overly intense and negative and can be part of the problem sometimes.
Yeah. And I think of a kid who I know who had an intense interest that everybody was like, oh, this is what this kid's into. And then in school one day for their birthday, a teacher trying to be really kind to this kid made some sort of game that they play to like ask questions in school. I can't remember what it's called. Made the theme of this thing, the kid's interest. And the kid by then was in high school and was kind of embarrassed that, I don't want to be like the train kid anymore. That when you hold that label gently for the kid too, that like, if my dad and my son are watching Marvel movies together, and I'm like, this is the most important tradition, they always watch Marvel movies, that I'm going to at some point be forcing them to watch Marvel movies together that neither one of them are interested in, because that's what you guys do. It's like labeling the picky eater or the kid with a short temper, that when we label kids externally, we can create problems doing that we might not even see coming.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well, I think it's important, just for takeaways, that these extremely intense interests are very developmentally appropriate, extremely typical, probably even more so among boys. Most kids naturally broaden their interests by middle school. Some kids don't, and both of those things are okay and also appropriate. And to remember that the thing that they're fascinated with now is really teaching them curiosity and skill set building and things that we really want our kids to have.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And it's also just so fun. I smile thinking about it. I smile thinking about the little kid who loves soy sauce packets. I smile thinking about the yard sign in the bed. Like, there is something wonderful because it's fundamentally, it's curiosity. It's your child's individualism coming to light, and it's so thrilling to watch.
I agree. All right, we solved it.
Solved it. Now you know everything you need to know about intense interests. Right. Don't buy my sister any more sharks, but it's okay if you're still into Marvel in high school.
It's really good if What Fresh Hell is your extremely intense interest. That's very appropriate.
Oh, please, people. This is what we want it to be.
Yeah. And if it is your intense interest, there's a lot of ways you can follow us. Like maybe you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel. Maybe you don't follow us on Instagram. There's so many places you can find us. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Our newsletter. We're going to link to all of them in the show notes this week. Our producer's like, oh God.
Sorry,
We're going to link to all of them in one place. This is one-stop shopping, Erica. We're going to put all the links in one place so that you can be like, oh, I'll check them out on TikTok.
So that when you say, how can I get even more What Fresh Hell? That question has already been answered for you. Love it.
Thanks for joining us on our deep dives into things like extremely intense interests. I love doing these episodes.
So fun. And with that, we will talk to you next time. Thanks so much for listening.
So long.
You can't reason with the sun. Trust us, we've tried. This summer, it's time to put that angry ball of fire on mute. Columbia's Omni-Shade technology is engineered to protect you from the sun's harsh rays that can burn and damage your skin. The sun is relentless, but so is our gear. Level up your summer at Columbia.com to spend more time outside and less time slathering on aloe lotion. You're welcome. Columbia, engineered for whatever.